Hello, I'm Richard Claywell, and welcome back to Litigation Speaks. This will be a presentation today where I'm going to answer some questions for the next few podcasts that we do. Have questions that I've received about how do you determine a billing rate. So I'm going to tell you what some of that process is that I've been exposed to. I'm not going to tell you what billing rates should or should not be, but I'm going to tell you how they're determined and the considerations that attorneys should look at or clients when they're going to hire someone to actually do some business valuation work for them. One of those is what I would call a cost structure approach. What happens is a lot of the valuation professionals, they work for a firm. Even if they were self-employed, they still have a firm. And what they do is they use what I would call a cost structure approach. The idea behind that is I pay an employee X number of dollars, and I have some payroll burden that goes along with that. So for the sake of argument, let's assume that I pay an employee $20 an hour, and we've got, say, $5 of additional burden that goes along with that. That's going to be the payroll taxes, any benefits that are applied to that. So we've got a number that covers the employee. Then what they will do is look at the cost structure of the company itself. How much am I paying for continuing education? How much am I paying for my lease payments or rent payments, whatever you have? How much am I paying for my copy charges, my phone systems, whatever it happens to be? And so now we have a cost for that. Typically, they will add those two costs together and add a third of that for profit. Now you could add a third, 20%, 10%, whatever you want to do. But that's a cost structure approach to come up with what a billing rate would be for a professional. Sometimes in a business valuation report, and actually in federal reports, you're supposed to disclose this, but in Texas and state reports, we're not required to disclose what our billing rate is. But in the business valuation reports, it's fairly common to see where a firm will say a partner, their billing rate is one number. They'll have a senior valuation, a junior valuation analyst. They have clerical staff, and they all have different rates for those different individuals that are working on the valuation report. So that's another way to find out what people are charging. If you look at that, you need to determine the comparability of your employees compared to the employees in the report that you're looking at. And we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. We also have depositions. Now, depositions, from my perspective, are not easy to get your hands on. I know attorneys look at depositions all day long, but we're not talking about attorney's fees. We're talking about valuation professionals. So I really don't get into that a whole lot. But if we have a deposition, it's my billing rate is disclosed. When we have a deposition, a lot of times I'm at the opposing expert's deposition, and I find out what their billing rate is. And so now, how do I compare to that particular individual? Is my rate comparable? It gives me some idea of what's going on with that. We want to look at the credentials of the employees. One of the things to take a look at is what sort of certifications do they have. And I think that you need to start at the most difficult credential that's out there, and that is a Master Certified Business Appraiser. That's an extremely strong designation. There's a Certified Business Appraiser, extremely strong designation. The difference between those two is you have to have 10 years of experience as a valuation professional with the CBA designation in order to get the Master CBA designation. Now, those are still recognized, but that testing process has been terminated in the early 2000s. The accredited senior appraiser is an extremely strong designation. The training to get that is about 130 hours of actual classroom training, and you have to have 10,000 hours of valuation experience that you have to be able to prove. You have a certified valuation analyst. The testing requirements and the educational requirements are not nearly as strong. If you're a CPA, you automatically qualify as having experience doing a business valuation, even if you've never touched one. So you need to take a look at the credentials that are out there, how strong are the credentials, and the individual that you're looking at engaging, where they fit within that scheme to determine whether the billing rates are reasonable or not. One thing to take a look at is the website, and here's something to think about. Several years ago, I got a call from a CVA looking for some help working on a valuation, and that's not a problem. I think he did the appropriate thing. But I looked him up. He had a really, really good website. I was impressed with this individual. And he had only 4 years of experience. We got on the phone and we talked, and come to find out, he had only done about 2 valuations a year for 4 years. So now he's got 4 years of experience, even though he's only done 8 valuations. So he was really not experienced at all, and I think that's why he was calling, trying to find somebody to help him out. So need to take a look at that. What is the experience level that the individual has? You might want to take a look at how many hours of continuing professional education we're required to have. As a CPA, for my license, I have to have at least 20 hours of continuing education each year, with a minimum of 120 over a 3-year time period. My and my staff's continuing education typically is over 100 hours per year, strictly in business valuations. So take a look at what that experience level is, and get some idea how that would incorporate with the billing rates that you have. So I want to thank you for tuning in, listen to what I have to say today, and would ask you to subscribe to our podcast and to our YouTube that we're doing. We are doing topics that relate to errors that you see in reports, so you've got some idea whether your expert is up to snuff as far as doing what they're supposed to be doing. But I have had some requests on different issues with how you do non-technical items in a business valuation, and we're going to talk about that for a while. So I appreciate you watching, appreciate you listening to what we're doing. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email or give me a call. I'll be more than glad to answer your question on the phone or through the email. Again, appreciate you watching, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you for your time.